Good evening and welcome to TVB News. The Legislative Council election is taking place today. A total of 161 candidates are vying for 90 seats. Over 1 million people have voted. Let's take a look at the latest polling figures. 20 seats were allocated to 10 geographical constituencies. As of 7:30 p.m., 1.1 million voters have casted their ballots, with the overall voter turnout reaching 27%. The constituency that saw the highest turnout was New Territory Southwest at 28%, while the lowest turnout was recorded in New Territories Northeast at 26%. 30 seats were allocated to the functional constituencies, which saw a voter turnout of 34%. As for the 40 seats allocated to the election committee, a voter turnout of 98% was recorded. More than 600 polling stations will open until 11:30 p.m. tonight for the 4 million plus registered voters to vote in the Legislative Council election. Some voters hope the candidates they pick can follow up on the various issues surrounding the blaze in Tai Po that killed at least 159 people at Wangfu Court. Samantha Lee reports.
612 ordinary polling stations opened at 7:30 this morning. That's 1 hour earlier than the opening time at the last election. Some early birds arrived at Raimondi College polling station in mid-levels to cast their ballots. Voting is Hong Kong people's responsibility, said this postgraduate student who came back from Shanghai via high-speed rail. This man praised the smooth voting process, which only took him around 2 to 3 minutes. The Tai Po fire was clearly still in the minds of some voters. This lady pinned her hopes on a candidate she picked to support the affected residents through resettlement and compensation. On the other side of the island, residents went to cast their votes at Yun Wan Estate, Taiwan. While health issues are among the main concerns of this aging citizen, he also expects the incoming lawmakers to do everything they can to stop big rigging. Tragedies like the Tai Po fire must never happen again. Tin Hau also saw residents coming to exercise their right to vote.
It's a citizen's duty. We want to vote the one who can improve our life and everything in Hong Kong.
The ordinary polling stations open from 7:30 in the morning until 11:30 at night, which is 2 hours longer than the previous arrangement. The Electoral Affairs Commission stated that the extension aims to cater for voters who have work arrangement, personal or family matters, or travel plans to the mainland. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
Chief Executive John Lee and senior officials arrived at polling stations across the city to take part in the Legislative Council election. The CE stressed this election is an essential part of pushing ahead with reforms in the city. Chief Executive John Lee and his wife arrived at the mid-levels Raimondi College polling station for the Hong Kong Island West constituency at around 8:30 this morning. With ballots in their hands, the couple casted their votes before receiving thank you cards as a gesture of appreciation. This, as the CE stressed, the priority for the newly elected legislative body is to handle the reconstruction and post-firework at Tai Po's Wangfu Court. Lee emphasized the government will work with the Legislative Council on laws related to the approval of fund allocation, adding that each vote matters in pushing for reform and helping those who have suffered from the Tai Po fire. Meanwhile, Chief Secretary for Administration Eric Chan, who voted at a polling station in Fo Tan, said the voting experience ran smoothly and that he found the polling booth arrangement satisfactory. Chan urged residents to vote early, as according to past experience, there would be a higher voter turnout during the evening hours. Other senior officials also voted, including Financial Secretary Paul Chan, Secretary for Justice Paul Lam, and Secretary for Constitutional and Mainland Affairs Eric Zhang. 3 polling stations in Tai Po had to be rearranged owing to the recent tragic fire at Wangfu Court. To facilitate local residents, authorities arranged free shuttle buses transporting voters to the new polling booths. one of the newly arranged polling stations located at the Hong Kong Teachers Association Lee Hun Kwei Secondary School, voters began queuing up even before the start of the voting period. Many of them are residents of Kwang Fuk Estate and Wong Fuk Court. This woman says she was devastated by the recent fire, adding that she'll prioritize fire services-related issues when she makes her voting choices. Some voters today said they did not participate in the previous election, but the number 5 alarm fire played a major role in persuading them to cast the votes this year. This man said he hopes the newly elected lawmakers will assist victims of the fire. While this woman, a former resident of Wong Fuk Court, says she witnessed the first-hand destruction of her home, but that she still came over to the polls. Throughout the day, the government arranged free shuttle buses transporting voters between the substitute polling stations and the Tai Po Market MTR station and Kwang Fuk Estate. To facilitate more people to cast their ballots, designated polling stations have been introduced for civil servants, medical workers, residents with travel plans, among others. The Electoral Affairs Commission said it will consider operating designated polling stations in future elections, based on what they learned from this election. Samantha Lee has more.
7 designated polling stations are set up for 684 eligible health workers to cast their votes. One of the stations is located near Two Moon Hospital. Ms. Lam, who lives on Hong Kong Island, said it was convenient for her to vote here as she works at Two Moon. Meanwhile, 21,000 registered civil servants have also been provided with designated polling stations. Firefighters and other civil servants arrived at the police headquarters in Wan Chai to cast their ballots. Secretary for Security Chris Tang came to inspect the process before noon. He said quite a lot of voters made use of the station, and the process was conducted in an orderly fashion. A voting station is set up at the airport to make voting easier for traveling residents, as well as those working at the airport. Airport staff member Ms. Ho, who is a Sha Tin resident, said the station was convenient for her to vote. Electoral Affairs Commission Chairman Justice David Lok Kai Hong said some 7,000 voters registered at designated polling stations near the border. He added that the airport is a good place to vote, as it helps to demonstrate Hong Kong citizens' sense of civic responsibility to foreigners. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
The Election Committee elects 40 members of the Legislative Council. 1,500 voters of the committee can cast their votes at the Hong Kong Convention and Exhibition Center polling station. Among those who cast their ballots were Tam Yu Chung, Alan Zeman,
to come out and vote,
and Archbishop Andrew Chan. Other well-known voters included Victor Lee of CK Hutchison, Kwok Kai Fai of Sun Hung Kei Properties, and Peter Lee of Henderson. TVB's chairman Thomas Hui, general manager Eric Zhang, as well as artists Alan Tam and Donnie Yen. A man is wanted by the Independent Commission Against Corruption for attempting to sabotage the LegCo election by allegedly inciting others not to vote on social media. The wanted man is Wong Ho Tin, who is 24. His conduct was in contravention of Section 27A of the Elections Corrupt and Illegal Conduct Ordinance. A total of 11 individuals were arrested by the ICAC for allegedly contravening the same law in relation to the LegCo election, including 4 who were arrested earlier today. The ICAC reiterates that publicly inciting others not to vote or to cast invalid votes during the election period is illegal. Supporters of Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado held rallies across South America ahead of her Nobel Peace Prize award ceremony next week. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth defended U.S. airstrikes on suspected drug boats linked to Venezuela. Critics call the military action unlawful and designed to destabilize the country. David Garrett with more.
Peru, where Venezuelan dissidents sing the praises of Nobel Peace Prize winner Maria Corina Machado outside their nation's embassy. Ahead of the official prize ceremony for Machado on Wednesday in Oslo, these supporters chanting that their opposition leader is recognised and revered across the region. In another South American nation, the same message, together for freedom. Nancy Hoya, a Venezuelan living in Argentina, waving her nation's flag, saying, "We are in capital cities supporting the Nobel laureate, our leader." Crowds chanting in Chile and one asking the US to kill the current Venezuelan president. Nicolas Maduro has ruled for 12 years. The US has been accused of trying to topple Maduro from power with strikes on suspected Venezuelan vessels smuggling drugs. Activist Maria de Los Angeles Morales says if that's what it takes for change in Venezuela, she's all for it. It is the regime that doesn't say goodbye, she says. Get out, we don't want you. There is freedom if Maria is present, not an invasion. The US does not want oil. It is about freeing us from narco-terrorists. Not everyone agrees with US intervention. In Cuba, solidarity with our friend Maduro shouts against US hostility. Cuba's foreign affairs minister at the front of the march alongside Venezuela's ambassador in Havana as they denounce the targeting of small boats with airstrikes that have killed at least 87 people. These protesters are against the American military buildup in the Caribbean as the US defends its actions.
We've been focused, and here we've been clear. If you're working for a designated terrorist organization and you bring drugs to this country in a boat, we will find you and we will sink you.
Hegseth saying there must be no doubt President Trump takes decisive military action as he sees fit. David Garrett, TVB News.
Friedrich Merz is on his first trip to the Middle East as German Chancellor, reaffirming support for Israel and praising the ceasefire in Gaza. He spoke of his country's close friendship with Israel as he met President Isaac Herzog. Talks with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu have followed. As he signed a visitor's book, he mentioned the unique deal this week that saw Israeli Arrow 3 long-range missile systems installed in Germany. Merz traveled to Jerusalem from Jordan, where he discussed humanitarian aid for Gaza. Hundreds packed Major Square in Bethlehem for the lighting of the Christmas tree for the first time in 3 years because of the Israel-Hamas war. It happened in front of the Church of the Nativity, where Christians believe Jesus was born. Close to 2,000 households are affected directly by the Taipo fire. Secretary for Labor and Welfare Chris Sun said almost all the social workers in the Social Welfare Department have been mobilized to help the families. The deadly fire in Wangfu Court in Taipo has affected 1,984 households. Secretary for Labor and Welfare Chris Sun said in a TVB program that out of those, 1,971 households have been contacted. Efforts are being made to contact the other 13 households. A one household, one social worker arrangement is being implemented to help the families. Sun said almost all of the some 2,000 social workers at the Social Welfare Department are helping the victims, in addition to performing their existing duties. For example, social workers are helping the victims handle financial assistance from donating organizations.
I have get in touch with our major NGOs, so we have agreed on an arrangement where many of them are going to provide financial assistance instead of asking the residents to come and register on their own. They all will work through the one household, one social worker.
Sun is also working on preventing future fires by banning smoking in construction sites through legislation. A lit cigarette is considered a possible cause of the Taipo disaster.
We are aware of a very strong voice right now that we should prohibit smoking in general in construction sites. If there's anyone who is contravenes the law, there's a way for us to detect it.
He said technology can be used to detect smoking in construction sites. And that's the news. Thanks for watching.